I'm so excited to introduce you to my great friend, Mayo. Now, Mayo and I met in line getting coffee and quickly became best friends. You're going to hear all about how we got to know each other really fast and his story, which is crazy. He was in the NFL. Then he became one of the most successful drug dealers in the Southeast, which quickly turned into an unsuccessful drug dealer as he was arrested, put in jail, and then had his major comeback, which comprises of him starting a church here in Atlanta and so much more. I can't wait for you to hear this story. This is Tough Talk featuring the one and only Mayo. Let's go, baby. I talk about you a lot. Did you know that, Mayo?
Chris, why?
You know I talk about you a lot?
Hey, you know what, Chris? Like, you don't talk about me because I'm your only black friend. Like, you have several black friends. That's what some would say. He talks about him. No, like, I really believe you genuinely love me.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, my God.
And the context in which I tell the story about you, Mayo, is under this kind of headline of go deeper, faster with your relationships. I think we spend so much time in this zone of politeness and not getting real, right? And also, like, how often is it that we have an interaction, whether it be at the grocery store or picking up our kids at school or whatever it is, and then nothing actually follows that?
Zero.
Right? Most interactions end up that way. Actually, in most relationships, once again, don't go deeper. So one of my favorite things that ever happened to me, when did we first meet? 8 months ago? A year ago?
We met at, not Le Bon Nage, but
Chastain.
Chastain, yeah.
I was there.
Wow.
I think I was hopping into a meeting.
Yeah, he was meeting this big commercial real estate guy.
Commercial real
he was
estate
coaching
guy.
him up.
I
seen him in Le Bon Nage like 3 weeks ago, and I would say, hey, I see you with Chris Tuff.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm anxiously awaiting my espresso or whatever, and out of nowhere, Mayo just turns to me. No, hey, how are you? He goes, bro. I'm like, what's up? He goes, I like your energy.
You like?
I'm like, dude, I like your energy. And then I saw Kai. I'm like, I think they're married. He seems like a good dude. Like, this is an interesting guy, right? And I'm like, all right, I like this vibe.
We hit it.
Like, dude, what's your story? Like, what are you doing at the Chastain right now? And then where is this gonna go?
Right.
And you didn't know that when you just said, bro. You probably expected me to be like, yeah, what's up, right? Like, and then move on.
No, I didn't know you was gonna go fast. Didn't know you was gonna go deep.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we was gonna leave with an action item.
Yeah.
With a date for a hangout and coffee. In that moment. Like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so it all accelerated very fast to where I invited Mayo to my house to hang out.
Right then.
I think it was the next day, wasn't it? Yeah.
What are you doing tomorrow? I said, let's do whatever tomorrow. And we walked. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, Chris.
I tried to make you run.
Yeah, I'm like, no, bro.
But Mayo, here's what's cool is, like, I think you had this preconceived notion in your head that, okay, why is this guy inviting me to his house to hang out? Like, is it to show off like some McMansion that he has or like whatever, right? You probably had a lot of these things. Then you come in. And I think we ended up hanging out for like 3 or 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
You were in here while I was taking calls and chilling.
I'm working. I got my iPad out. You taking calls. We Zoom meeting. We just hanging, talking about life.
We were FaceTiming Mo because we figured out off the bat that we had a common friend, right?
Yeah, he's a real guy.
Dude, he's as good as they get.
Deep, fast. Yeah.
So take me through your side of this connection.
Man, I mean, when I seen you, I was like, yo, I like his energy. Love the glasses. Love the shoes. I was like, man, this is my type of guy. Like, I don't like how guys don't do guys like we would do a girl. You see a hot girl, you like, yo, you look like my type of girl. You know, boom, boom, boom. You got boom, boom, boom. You got boom, boom, boom. And you step. I do that with guys. Like, you look like my type of guy. Good shoe, good frame, good hair, good energy, in fit. What's up? My name Mayo, your name's Chris. Hey, let's get together. And that's what happened. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it don't happen like that with guys, and it's cool, but I'm going to give a guy his props and be like, yo, you look like my type of guy.
Yeah.
And some guys, I miss, just like we missed with girls. You know what I'm saying? So, and when we hit it off, we planned some the next day, And that's when we started seeing we had the same type of like upbringing, the same type of trauma, the same family dynamics. And I was like, my spirit led me to the right, like kindred brother. And we here to this day because we have that kindred spirit. And I believe it's people out there. I think it's people out there for everyone. But I think we just have to step through that little lens of fear and step through it. And I'm telling you, it's a reward on the other side. Most people don't step through it.
So what happens for you when people keep it surface level?
You just play in a kiddie pool. You can't get your whole body wet.
So, but like you just move on from that relationship?
Yes. Like, you feel it. You like, hi, bye. Text, happy birthday, Instagram like or something. But it's never, hey, let's go out of town together. Let's go hang,
What percentage of your conversations are deep versus surface level, would you say?
I challenge everything. So every conversation I have with somebody, I try to go deep. Because I never want to leave the conversation saying that I didn't give them a shot. So I give everybody the same thing. I go deep fast. I let them know where I'm from, what I did, who I am, what I'm trying to do. I let them know the struggles that I have with relationships. And I go fast and I go deep. Now, if they don't respond fast and deep, that's on them. But I can look myself in the eye and say, I've given everybody a chance to have all of me.
I love it.
That's just me.
Well, no, and I've seen that in application, right? It's like a race to catch each other up when me, you, and Mo hang out. And I'm like, God, I wish this could last longer.
Yo, bro, remember we had breakfast?
At Le Bon Noche?
Oh, yeah, we was like there for 2 hours and we didn't even get 30 days into each other's life.
Dude. We need more of that. But I mean, I think the world needs more of that,
100%.
right? We're agendaless meetings. Although I did make it a goal that I was going to have less agendaless meetings this year because I need to also make money. But listen, I think it's important to bring listeners and people watching, get them to a place where they understand Mayo current state. Like, you've had a crazy journey. And I think you do a great job speaking about what that has been and what brought you back to Atlanta. Why don't you just kind of bring people up to speed with where you're at?
I was born in LA, Los Angeles, California, not lower Alabama, all right, lower. Like, okay, South, you don't want to say South, just lower. Like, when does the South start, So I was born in LA. My dad, in the 80s, he was doing what he was doing. And ended up getting in some trouble. Some guys came into the house and they duct taped my mom and held us hostage. And my dad was like, I got y'all in this lifestyle. And my mom was like, I'm leaving. So he was like, well, let's go to Louisiana. So we went to Louisiana. My dad left that life, went to Louisiana. And then I started to play sports when my mom and dad got a divorce. My mom was working 2 jobs. And this guy that was working with my mom said, hey, I want to help your sons get into sports because I had a little brother. So he introduced me to basketball. So I started playing basketball. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Awesome. That's fun. Whatever. My mom and dad got back together. I went back to Louisiana. Now I'm in 9th grade. And the coach said, hey, why don't you try basketball? So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll try it. And I was just good at it. Then 10th grade, the coach said, hey, why don't you try football? From playing basketball, I was good at football. It made all state and everything. So my mom and dad ended up moving to Birmingham, Alabama. I went to high school. And I was like good and didn't know I was good.
Yeah.
So everybody started recruiting me. Ended up going to Auburn University to play linebacker. Ended up going to the NFL. A lot of my friends went to the NFL. We all went together. And we was like, hey, where are we going to stay at and spend our money? Because we all just rolled together. I didn't go that high. They went high. They was instant millionaires. Like number 2 pick, number 5 pick, number 7 pick, number 15 pick. So I was like, hey, I'm your guy. Let me just spend your money, right? So we was like, hey, let's all stay in Atlanta. Because we was like, hey, ratio is 16-1. It's Black Hollywood. So we're like, let's do Atlanta. In my first year playing for Buffalo, I tore my ACL and I was cut. And now I've acquired this lifestyle with my guys where you can just do anything you want to. Take a flight, buy a house, buy a car, whatever. And I was like, man, what am I going to do to get that type of lifestyle back? Because everybody expect that from me. Everyone expected for me to have money. Everybody expected for me to have this lifestyle, this car, this, that, and the third. So I said, I have to meet their expectations by any means necessary. Expectations, Chris, is dangerous. So in Atlanta at that time, people glorified 3 people: the rapper, the athlete, and the drug dealer. I couldn't rap. I like music, just couldn't rap. Couldn't play sports anymore. So I had one option: sell drugs. I was always good with people. And I literally taught myself through music and TV how to sell drugs. That was at the time American Gangster was out with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Right? Had different albums out and stuff like, it's drugs. Just, I always believe in diversity. I always believe in treat people fair no matter what. And man, I just had a friend of mine. I called her. She was out in LA. I said, hey, can you get me so-and-so? She hung up the phone. And she texted me. She said, just fly out here. I flew out there. I was looking for marijuana at the time. She said, what are you talking about? I was like, hey, can you give me X, Y, Z? She was like, well, let me introduce you to my uncle. Well, her uncle, she was mixed, and her uncle stayed up in Humboldt County, right? So she took me up to meet her uncle. If you know the trade of marijuana out there on the West Coast, Northern California does not do business with guys in Vallejo because it's no connection there. They don't do good business together.
Well, you can smell Humboldt County from like 9 counties away because it just smells like weed.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know about it, so Humboldt County, they call it the Bermuda Triangle, where it's Mendocino, Redding, and Humboldt. And they call it the Bermuda Triangle, and they say it's the best marijuana in the world. So I'm in Humboldt. Her uncle's like, hey, nice to meet you. I've never done drugs in my life, never smoked weed in my life. I don't know what I want, but I know how to fake it till I make it, right? So I was like, yeah, I want the best. He's like, you don't want the best? What strand of the best? The best strand of the best strand. I'm just like, I don't know. I've never been
It
there
must
before.
have had a name. Did it have a name?
Bro,
was it like Elvis or something? Like, what was
I know
it named?
I ended up getting AK. I got a strand of AK, and then I got a strand of like a purple haze. And he ended up giving me 20 pounds. So 10 of 10, right? So I got it in the car. I reek. I got a hotel in San Francisco. We drive back down. I can't believe I'm telling your people this. Praise God. Hey, we're going deep fast.
Yeah, we're going deep fast.
Deep fast.
Keep going.
Right? So I go back down the mountain, and now I got these. I got 20 pounds. So I'm like, I don't even know how much 20 pounds are worth. Like, I don't. Now I got to get back to Atlanta. So I don't even know who I'm gonna give them to. So I'm like in this hotel down on Market Street in San Francisco. Like I'm going in there, and I'm like, they looking at like, and they smell it behind me, and I'm like, so I get upstairs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do, right? So she leaves. At the time, that's when camera phones was in. So I called a friend of mine in Atlanta, and I say, hey man, I got this. Let me send you a picture, and what is this worth? Send him a picture. He say, you really got that? I say, I got that. He say, if you can get it here, we'll be rich. So now, okay, I know what I got. But I gotta get it there. I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I sat in the hotel for 2 days, Chris. When I say the whole floor was high. Right? So I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was the beginning. Started with that, kept going. Everything you do, good or bad, is progressive. Just period. Nothing is stagnant. Everything, good or bad, is progressive. And it progressed, 2 years later, I was in, cocaine, and it just kept going. I was doing a deal in Arizona with the cartel because it progressed. It left Humboldt and went into Mexico, into Colombia. It just left. I was under investigation by the federal government, and it was freeze. You're under arrest. I was facing a minimum of 15 years of life. When I was in my cell, what came under the door was Mayo Sowell versus United States of America. I'm sitting there looking at it. Mayo Sowell versus the United States of America. So I ended up pleading out. The judge told me, he gave my it was 3 of us got caught. He gave my co-defendant 40 plus years. He gave my other co-defendant 21, and he said, for some reason, he gets to me, and I have a minimum of 15 years to life. He gets to me, Chris, and he says, so oldest judge on the circuit, Judge Carroll. He's not here anymore. He's passed away. He said, Mayo Sowell. I just know it. They about to hit me. 17. Cool. Whatever. Awesome. For some reason, I think you're going to get your life together. 5 years. I go back. I start my 5 years. My 4th year, I'm still doing things from prison. Like still working, My 4th year, this guy came to me and he said, God has a call on your life and he wants you to help the people that you hurt. And when he told me that, it just made sense. Just those few words, help the people that you hurt. And I said from that day forward, I'll spend my life helping the people that was hurting.
Wow.
And yeah, so I left prison and went to Birmingham because I knew I couldn't go back to Atlanta. My parents was like, I had 2 restaurants in Atlanta. He was like, just go run your restaurants. I'm like, nope. Went to Atlanta, got trained to be a pastor, went on this staff in Birmingham, went back to Birmingham, stayed on this staff at Birmingham, Church of Highlands for 7 years. But now I'm on the other side. And I heard God say, but the people that come here when you leave, they deserve to live also. That was the birth of Live Atlanta.
No way.
God was telling me to go back.
That part, that's amazing.
He was telling me to go back where I died and show life. And it was Atlanta. Live Atlanta.
Wow.
I added an I for copyright infringement. So it's LIIV. Love, integrity, influence, victory. Live.
I love it.
And I'm here.
And so you're a year and a half into that journey.
Year and a half into the church plant.
And, one of the things that I think you're doing it differently, right? Like, obviously, I've been to a handful of services, and you're like the diversity play, talk a little bit about your philosophy on what you're building.
I aspire to go into a new category of church and of people. So, it's already a pre-existing pool of how to do church and who goes to church. But it's a category of people out there that don't go to church, and it's a category of church that has not been created yet. So with Kai and I, my wife, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be the category king. We're trying to go over into this and create this new category and be there first and be the king. So Uber did that. Uber got a lot of, I would say, a lot of historical data from taxis and from entrepreneurs in the season of wannabe entrepreneurs in New York, and you can't get a taxi in your convenient time. And what they did was they said, I'm gonna pull all these pieces together, go over here and employ entrepreneurs and put something in the tech world and put something super convenient, and it's gonna be awesome. And they did Uber. What they did was they created a new category. So now existing people that was tired of the old things in the old category, they came over to the new category. And Uber was a category king. So i.e. Lyft came. Lyft could not knock the king off the mountain because they was like years behind. So what we're trying to do in church is we're trying to take all these different frameworks, the best of all best practices, pull them over, create a new category. So now we create a new category. We get old people that didn't want the old category. They come to the new category. And then we get people that never experienced this category. And now we'll be the king. So that's what we're trying to do with diversity. We're trying to do it with tech. We're trying to do it with innovation. We're trying to do it with flat leadership, not too much of a huge hierarchical structure. Yes, I am Pastor Mayo, but I'm Mayo because I don't want to put the hierarchy in there.
Yeah,
I want someone to see me as their pastor before I deem myself as their pastor. So when you call me Pastor Mayo, I know it's a specific place in your heart for me. But when you call me Mayo, I'm cool with Mayo because we homeboys. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how kind of I lead. We lead collaborative. We lead together. We believe in people walking in their faith and they're finding Jesus when they get to that point in their life. They can still be a part. We love them. We take them in. Like let's do it. Let's journey together, because this is one big hospital. Let's just keep it real. This is one big hospital, but it's just some people that got there early.
Yeah.
And one to the people who in the hospital and get mad at the people for coming in. Right. You sick too.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? You're not the doctor. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're trying to do.
So what do you do? I mean, knowing that this obviously isn't a Christian podcast, but tell me, I want to get into some of the nitty gritty of one, kind of like what motivates you, but two, how you deal with like non-believers, or what is your kind of philosophy on the role you play in Christianity, your church, and then when you're coming across people that are like, hey, I don't want any of that.
Yeah. So I don't. Let me say it like this: my primary collaboration is not around Christ, with humanity. That's not my primary collaboration. That's not where you and I meet. And I'm perfectly fine with that. And he's perfectly fine with it. You know where we meet at? Human flourishment. Your podcast is for the betterment of the human. You want them to flourish. That's where we meet at. That's where we love each other at. That's where we collab at. And guess what? If you meet my Christ on the process of you and I flourishing humanity, all good. But if you don't, guess what? These people still get flourishment because they deserve flourishment. Yeah. That's my primary collaboration point. So if you're for the betterment of humanity, I'm on your team, you're on my team, let's push people forward. You know, like, let the chips fall where the chips fall. Let's help people. Because we can minimize that now. I only want to help you because you're black. When that starts, it's no end game. I only want to help you because you wear Jordans. That's gangs. You're Crip, you're blood. Like, that's corny. No. Let's all meet in the middle and say we want to help each other by any means possible to see humanity flourish.
I love it, dude.
That's what we design around.
I mean, we're a product of it, right? Like, that's real.
We a product of it.
Dude, I mean, some of our stories, right? Mayo and I are ships in the night, right? Where I'm going one way to speak engagement, you're going one way. And then, but we always make it work. And 100%. I remember, I don't even know where I was going, but you were like, bro, what are you doing this afternoon? I was like, what time period? He's like, 2 o'clock. Have you ever been to a black barbershop? I was like, no. But I am all in, right? Yeah. And you and your son.
I remember that. We hung.
And we hung.
2 hours
Dude,
process.
we should do a podcast just on that.
Oh, bro.
That was the best magic trick thing I've ever seen in my life.
No, bro.
I was legit blown away.
No, he makes me look like I was out of the magazine. But I walked in like I looked like I was out of the mayhem.
Dude. It was the most unbelievable process I've ever seen.
He's very good.
That could be a whole series.
LeBron James has a podcast in the barbershop.
Oh, really?
Like, historically, the barbershop is like some of the roots of the black community.
Yeah.
Everything happened in the barbershop.
And then I come in, and it's like,
bro, they was like for you. They still talk about you. Like, yo, what you do? That's sponsored by Nike. I want some shoes. But then, why, you was coming back in town, and I wanted to hang with you so bad. I pick you up from the airport. Let's go. I just want to hang, bro.
It's so good. Or, what, 2 days ago? Three days ago? Well,
2 days ago.
No, because we were trying to organize this.
Hey, hold on. Let me say something. You see that? Listen, this is how you know you getting it when you don't remember the day. You see, 2 days ago, 1 day ago, what day? That's how you know. That is the metric for you're getting after it. He forgot the day.
Dude. But literally,
yes.
I mean, it's nonstop, right? Like,
it's nonstop.
And so I think it was Sunday, and you were like,
Monday.
When you reached out to me, okay, it was Monday, and you're like,
no, it might have been Sunday. I reached out.
It was Sunday.
And Monday you hit me back.
Night,
I said Tuesday. I don't know the day.
Tuesday night.
We getting it.
Tuesday night. Hey, come. I'm speaking at this Chick-fil-A thing. You should meet some of these guys. And, I end my speeches with this amazing, I think, story around Chick-fil-A. And I'm like, dude, oh my gosh, I'll totally be there. Right? So I had it like penciled in my head. And then Monday at 6 o'clock, I get a call from Mayo. Where you at?
Where you at, bro? Like, what's up? What you doing?
Like, dude, it's Monday. Bro. There's a huge difference between Monday night and Tuesday night.
Don't remember
it's actually
days,
24
Chris.
Hours. It's 24 hours.
Every day is a day.
But I was dropping Finley off at volleyball. I looked at you gave me the address, and I saw it was going to take me 37 minutes to get there. I had a window of 45. I was like, I will be there, bro. And I was there, and I needed to hear that message.
No, I need to hear it.
And
we don't know the day.
You got to stop.
You got to stop, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that was the message. You got to stop. Bro. You got to stop every once in a while and
stop.
Actually assess and take it in, and I'm a go.
That was a message for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Yeah, it just makes so much. Like, even when we just.
This is kind of stopping. Yeah, us hanging. This is stop. It's connection. Agendaless meetings is stopping. And I think that's where, so I call it the kind of weighing of making it happen and letting it happen. It might surprise you that letting it happen is something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I make everything happen.
Real talk.
Right? I make everything happen. I jam. And I love it.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, and Julie tells me, she's like, Chris, you got to stop every once in a while. And how I stop, I'm not like meditating in the corner, practicing mindfulness.
Right.
How I stop is actually this, right? It's connection.
Yeah.
And getting real and having someone call me on my stuff. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Right? Am I out of line? Or just laying it out there. And that to me is agendaless meetings, and I think we need more of that.
No, 100%. We're so efficient, if you just look at our culture in the West, efficiency rules everything. Efficient. We are an efficient people. And it just, efficiency is good, but you want to finish well also.
Yeah. But I use all of that as an example of, we always make it work, right?
Always.
And I think we each need to, one, have people that we will go out of our way and be there. Because it's not because you're doing them a favor, because you're going to get the same thing out 100%. Of it that you're going to put in.
100%.
And we don't have near enough of that.
100%.
And I see that with you.
100%. I love you, bro.
One, love you, bro.
I love
but
you,
two, it's also, I think it's just, it's so important to have different takes on our lives.
Amen.
Right? And I think our instinct is to go and hang out with people that are exactly like us. I never thought that I would be super good friends with a black preacher in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
And I love it.
That's dangerous, bro. When we hang out with people just like us.
Oh, dude. But look at most of people, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's one thing saying, right? Oh yeah, like your whole like token black friend thing, right? And it's another thing doing, right?
100%.
And what I'm actually finding now that I've kind of, like, I look at my inner circle and I'm like, oh my, it's like the land of misfit toys, you know? It's like, what?
Yo, guys.
But I call it the gobstopper effect, where it's like on surface level, I'm like, oh, I only want the watermelon gobstopper, right? And I'm like, there's a watermelon and then purple or whatever, right? But then as you get into that race to the middle and you develop that connection and you deepen that connection, you get to these layers and layers, and then you get to the core of the gobstopper. It's like, this is the best gobstopper I've ever had. I never would have had that in the first place, right? And
through it.
And that's the one truth for all of the people that I kind of hold close to me. It's like, it's a darn good gobstopper in the middle.
Yeah.
But anyways, I get distracted and overly fired up with some of these things. So I got a couple questions for you, Mayo. You have a church.
Have a church.
You've got a handful of things that how do you get paid?
It's a good question. Okay, so my primary source of income comes from the church. So we have a nonprofit. It's an LLC, and we live in Atlanta. We have a board. So I submit to a board. I'm the non-voting chairman on the board of our church right now. So, and I also have overseers that's over me. That's my spiritual fathers, Pastor Chris being one. So how I get paid is, I have one overseer and one person from the board. They come up with my compensation based upon, it's a church database that shows what city you're in, how many members you have, and you can pay your pastor in between that meeting, in between that scale. So you can either get the 100% of the scale, or you can get the 0% of the scale, whatever, you fall between that. So I try to stay within the 50 to 75% scale of pay based upon my demographic and based upon what we have in attendance and tithes and offering.
Yeah.
And they come up with that. I don't dictate it. So I don't dictate that. So that's how I get paid now. Long term, I would like to be paid as a business owner where I don't take pay from the church.
Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur. I have a clothing company. I have a consulting company. I have a leadership company. So I have these other companies that's for profit. Whereas I would like to get paid for. I have a creative company. I would like to get paid there and don't take anything from the church and be the number one giver to our church.
I love it.
That's my goal.
What's the timeline on that?
I think I got to get the church healthy enough right now where I can allocate more time to those for-profit companies. But I think 5 to 7 years, I think that's pretty aggressive. I cannot take pay from the church.
So I have a question, and I have two really, and it's my favorite question to ask anyone, which is
my favorite.
It's by far my favorite, which is when you get there, when you actually like, what's your dream, right?
My dream.
And not like one of these lofty, buying a hotel in the Caribbean.
No.
What is that thing to you, Mayo, that you're like, that drives you?
Yep.
Like that, when I say, what is your dream? What is that?
Right. So
And how do you know you're there?
So I have a place that I see myself in the window of 55 to 60. 55 to 60, I will be...
That's in 5 years?
No. It's like, what, 55 to 60?
15
to... That's like 20
15
years.
to 20, yeah.
That's 20 years.
Yeah.
Live Church is a global brand, and we have Live communities all over the world, whereas I am the founder. So my wife and I, 55 to 60, we will be somewhere in the Caribbeans. That will be our house that will be our central location where we will do three things. We will write, we will lead, we will create. So what I would like to do from there, I would like to have a television ministry where I teach the Bible in a practical, tangible way to the world. That's what I do from right there. I lead the organization from right there. I think the digital space is going to be at a whole nother space.
It's crazy.
That's going to be crazy. And I lead it from right there. And then the next thing that I do is I write. I write books, and that's what I would like to do. Fly around and cheer and be the cheerleader of these locations and these pastors in Puerto Rico that's knocking it out of the park. Go to Amsterdam, knocking it out of the park. Go to New York City, you knocking it out of the park. I am the biggest cheerleader for these pastors that's creating these communities where people gather around the common cause of flourishing humanity, and that's Live.
I love it.
And I believe the whole church will live from it. I mean, the whole world will live from it, because you have this little ecosystem where people can come find life. So that's my goal, 55, 60. I want to be there. That's where I see myself. And I'm reverse engineering. I'm working there now. Getting my doctorate. I got my master's. Get my doctorate in global ministry design, because I want to design ministry globally. So, I'm going to get my MBA in business, because it's going to have a business arm to it.
Skip that stuff.
Skip it.
Dude, just steal that base. People, it's like Julie.
No, that's a great point.
Dude, skip.
But Chris,
dude,
man,
come on. Dude, no. An MBA.
I can.
You got enough degrees.
I like learning.
You're worse. Okay, but
Chris, every time around you, bro, I learn, bro.
Cliff notes.
Oh, but I'm like a forced learner, man.
And as you can tell from the abrupt end on that conversation, Mayo and I went and covered some things that he didn't necessarily want to post to everyone. So we apologize for the ending there, but please tune in to our next Tough Talk.